Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are doing our our week 4 record predictions, and yeah, let's get into it. So, the Dolphins already played the Bengals. I predicted them to lose to the Bengals, and so did my father. Um, so yeah. We didn't really predict them, but if I were to have predicted them, I would have said the Bengals would win at home. And so yeah. And then next up, we got the Vikings versus the Saints, and they are currently playing right now. Um, it's currently at like 11:10 right now, so an hour before the game start. And so the Vikings are already playing because they're in London right now. But these predictions were made yesterday. I just didn't have time to make the video yesterday, so yeah. So Vikings and the Saints. The Vikings have been looking great. Had a great game last week against the Lions. Kirk Cousins with the game-winning drive, and then of course, freaking Jared Goff just throws up the ball on like first or second down, and it gets picked, and the Vikings leave there with a win. Really good offense, and they came out of there with a win, and that's pretty huge for their team. They've got momentum. And as for the Saints, haven't been looking all too good. Haven't been putting up too many points in games. And their starting quarterback just got hurt. They now have Andy Dalton in. And Andy Dalton, don't get me wrong, I love Andy Dalton. And honestly, I do think he's probably better than Jameis Winston as of how Jameis Winston's playing right now. And so I'm really excited for Andy Dalton. And I don't know how long Jameis Winston's going to be hurt, but wishing the best for Andy Dalton right now. But I don't really know too much about the Saints. I mean, there's nothing that really stands out to me on their team. And so I have the Vikings winning against the Saints on neutral turf in London. And my father does not think the same, as he has these Saints winning. But next up, we got the Seahawks versus the Lions. And the Seahawks, they just lost to the Falcons. They haven't been looking great. Geno Smith is decent. Really high completion percentage, but 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, I don't know. Really iffy. The team hasn't been too special necessarily when you watch them. And as for the Lions, I mean, their defense is definitely holding them back. Their offense is putting up 30 points a game. I mean, I really do love that Lions offense, and I love the coach that they have there. And I think he's really doing the best for them. And I just really like how the Lions are looking right now. Close game against the Vikings, but they can bounce off. They can bounce back from that. And so I have the Lions winning at home against the Seahawks. However, my father is taking the Seahawks. Now the next game that we have here is the Jets versus the Steelers, and the Jets. I don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. I don't know if it's Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco. However, I mean, I don't know, man. They haven't looked great. They got a win against the Browns, but it's the freaking Browns. And I don't know. They're like 1-2 right now. I mean, they lost by 15 against the Bengals, something like that. And I don't know. Nothing really stands out to me on their team. And then as for the Steelers, their defense is looking absolutely amazing. Matt Canada, however you pronounce his last name, isn't looking great on the offensive side, and neither is Mitchell Trubisky. But I still don't see the Jets beating the Steelers at home, and so I'm taking the Steelers in this one, and so is my dad. And next up, we're going to the Bears versus the Giants. And as for the Bears, they haven't been looking great. I mean, they're winning games. They're like 2-1 right now. Lost to the Packers, but they beat the Texans and the 49ers. But I mean, if you watch them, they look terrible. I mean, I don't know how they beat the Texans. They threw an interception to Petre, or however you pronounce his last name, the safety for the Texans. And I mean, just a terrible pass. And I don't know, just when I click on their games, they look mid. But they're 2-1, and I just don't get it. And as for the Giants have been absolutely electric this year. They're 2-1 right now. Their coaching is great. In my opinion, Daniel Jones is playing really well. Really like this team. Their defense is holding up. And I just don't see the Giants losing to the Bears with how the Bears have been looking. And So I'm giving the win to the Giants. And as for my dad, he will give the win to the Bears. And now we will take a quick break to say how we did last week. So my dad went 8-8 last week, and I went 7-9. So now the current record is I am 22-26, and my dad is 20-28. So yeah, currently ahead by 2. We're looking to keep that lead. But next up, we got the Titans versus the Colts. And the Titans haven't been looking great. I really thought Ryan Tannehill was going to do a lot better this year. Haven't been looking like the best team. And neither have the Colts. I mean, you got a 1-2 team going up against a 1-1 team. Colts yet to win a game in the division. I don't know about the Titans. I don't even know who they've played. Honestly, they played the Giants, the Bills, and I don't even know who they played last week, but they won last week, so I don't know. Who did they play last week? Frick. Anyways, neither team has been looking great, but the Colts are at home, so I'm going to have to give it to the Colts. Just came off of a win against the Chiefs. Maybe Matt Ryan is starting to get used to the system at the Colts, and maybe he won't throw 5 picks this game. We'll see. Really cheering for the Colts and Matt Ryan. So I got them taking the dub, and so does my father. But next up, we got the Chargers versus the Texans. And the Chargers looked terrible last week. Justin Herbert did not look good. He was hurt, of course. It's not looking good up there. They got a lot of injuries going on. It's not looking great. The Texans, however, I really like how they've been playing. Tied against the Colts. Really close game against the Bears. Obviously lost to... I don't know why I said obviously. I don't even know who they lost to. Who did they play? Who have they played? They played the Colts? The Bears. Oh, and the freaking Broncos. But it's been really close games. Their defense is playing really well. We just need Davis Mills to step up in that offense. And, I mean, I really do like the Texans and how they've been playing. Really young team, and they're sticking with teams really well. And so, I've got the Texans taking this game against the Chargers based off just how these two teams have looked. Really excited for the Texans, and I got them winning at home. However, my father has the Chargers taking the dub. And so, yeah. But next up, we got the Browns versus the Falcons. And I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't watched the Browns. I mean, they got freaking Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I really just don't feel like watching the Browns. I know they beat the Panthers. Lost the Jets in horrific fashion. They were up by like 17 with a minute left, and they still lost. And then they beat the Steelers by a pretty good bit. But I really haven't been watching them. And as for the Falcons, just came off of a win against the Seahawks. Looked really good against the Rams, previous Super Bowl winner. And they only lost by like 4 or like something. I don't know. Really close game. And so the Falcons are playing really good right now. Or I wouldn't say really good, but they're playing decent right now. They have momentum. And I think the Falcons just take this dub at home. And so does my father. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Jaguars versus the Eagles. Never mind. We got the Commanders versus the Cowboys. And Commanders have been playing really good. They're like... They beat the Jaguars. I'm trying to think of their record right now. Beat the Jaguars in week 1. Lost to the Lions. I think they're 1-2 right now. But I still really like the way that Carson Wentz is playing. The team's looking good. You know, if their defense could just hold up a little bit more, that'd be a whole lot better. Defense hasn't looked great, but the offensive game has been electric. The Cowboys, you know, I don't know about the Cowboys, man. I mean, it really just comes down to how good Cooper Rush can play. It really comes down to how good Cooper Rush can play. And so, I mean, I don't even know if Dak Prescott's going in. I mean, they're definitely going to lose. I think Cooper Rush is a better player. Me personally, I just keep Cooper Rush in. But I don't know. I don't think he can pull out. I don't think he can get another win. I really don't. Even though it's at the Cowboys, I'm still going to take the Commanders here. However, my dad is going to take the Cowboys. And I guess we'll see. But next up, we got the Jaguars versus the Eagles, and the Jaguars have been looking really good this season. Lost to the Commanders in really close game, and then lost to, or actually they're 2-1, I think. Beat the Colts and beat the Chargers. I mean, they looked good, especially last week, won 38-10. I mean, they're looking really good. Obviously the Chargers are kind of hurt and injured, but I mean, still, if you go to the Chargers and you win 38-10, that's huge. And where did my notes go? Okay. Anyways, but yeah, that's huge. They've been looking really good. However, the Eagles have been looking really good too. Currently 3-0. Jalen Hurts has been looking absolutely amazing. That offense has been looking amazing. The defense is decent, but I've just really liked the way that this team is playing. And so I'm going to have to take the Eagles here. Even though I do think the Jaguars are playing really well, I'm taking the Eagles at home, and so is my dad. And next up, well, before we go next up, I got to add a new clip, so give me a second. So next up, we got the Bills versus the Ravens. And by the way, there's more clips coming, so it's going to be like the end of this and then more clips. Okay, anyways, we got the Bills versus the Ravens. And the Bills, man, they've been looking absolutely amazing. I think they're 3-0 right now. They beat the Rams. They beat the Titans. They beat whoever they played last week, I'm sure. And then as for the Ravens, lost to the Dolphins in dramatic fashion. Beat the Patriots. Defense looked really well in that game after the bad game against the Dolphins. And I'm not sure who they played week 1, but who cares? Lamar Jackson has been looking amazing, like really, really good. 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, like 1,000 yards passing, then 200 yards rushing. I mean, he is looking really, really good right now. And so I'm really excited for this Ravens team. And both of these teams are really good. This is going to be a super exciting matchup. But the Ravens are at home. I think I have to take the Ravens. Yeah, really, really, really good game that I think we're going to see today. But yeah, I think I got to take the Ravens over the Bills at home. And so does my dad. And next up, we got the Cardinals versus the Panthers. And look, Cardinals got a lucky win against the Raiders. I think they lost their other 2 games. The Panthers have been getting really messed up. Lost to the Browns by a field goal. Lost to the Giants by like 2 points. And then, who'd they play last week? They won last week. They won last week. Who'd they play? Who the frick did they play? Gosh, dang it, who'd they play? Who did they beat last week? I don't know. I really don't know. But neither team has really looked great. Panthers at home. Really excited for Baker Mayfield. I think he's starting to figure out the playbook. Really excited for him. Hopefully he'll do well. So I think I'm going to have to give this one to the Panthers. Neither team has been playing great, but really excited. And I'm going to give this one to the Panthers, and so is my dad at home. Next up, we got the Broncos versus the Raiders. And the Broncos have not looked great. Really close game against the 49ers. Won by 1 point because Jimmy Garoppolo ran out of bounds. Ran out of the back of the end zone. Then, really close game against the Texans. Then lost to the Seahawks. I mean, they're not looking good. They're 2-1, but probably the worst 2-1 that you're going to see. And then as for the Raiders, lost a really fluky game against who'd they play? Who did they play? Lost a really fluky game against, what the freak is their name? Against the Cardinals. Really close. I mean, Hunter Renfrow fumbled. Kyler Murray danced around for 20 minutes, then ran it in. I mean, you know, they're 0-3 now. I think they finally have to get a win at home, and I have them beating the Broncos. And I don't know. The Broncos just really haven't stood out to me this season, and so I got the Raiders winning at home. However, my dad has the Broncos winning. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Patriots versus the Packers. And the Patriots have not looked good, man. Have not looked good. Mac Jones, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I think Brian Hoyer's going to be playing in this game. So I mean, I mean, I don't know, man. They're not looking good. And as for the Packers, I mean, they just came off a win against the Bucks, 14-12, really close game. Not very good offense, but great defense. The Packers are obviously just a better team. I mean, they got Aaron Rodgers, they got receivers, they got a defense. I mean, they're playing so much better than the Patriots right now, and Brian Hoyer's going in or something. I mean, because Mac Jones is injured. We're giving this one to the Packers at home. Yeah. So is my dad. But next up, we got the Chiefs versus the Bucks, and this is a pretty big game. The Bucks, you know, they're not putting up as many points. They're not putting up points. I mean, they're really not. I mean, they're just not putting up points. 20 points against the Saints, 12 points against the Packers, and I don't know what happened in Week 1, but I mean, they're just not looking. They're not. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I just don't know, man. The Chiefs just came off of a loss against the Colts, and they're definitely looking for revenge. They're gonna fix some play calls. Patrick Mahomes was definitely not happy after what happened. At halftime, he was arguing with his coaches for not letting them run another play, but I mean, I don't know. They're definitely going to work on some stuff, and I think they're definitely going to be able to beat the Bucks here. Especially with how the offense for the Bucks has just looked. I think the Chiefs can definitely outscore them. And then as for the Rams versus the 49ers, you know, Matthew Stafford has not been looking great. I think he has like 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, something like that. And he just hasn't looked all that good. I mean, the team's winning. I think they're like either 3-0 or 2-1, but still. And then the 49ers, they got Jimmy Garoppolo. Super excited for Jimmy Garoppolo. No, he didn't have a great game against the... Who did they play? I know he didn't have a great game against whoever they played. The Broncos. The Broncos did not have a good game. Got a safety. They ended up losing by 1 point. Only put up 10 points. But I don't know. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely going to bounce back here. And something's telling me that the 49ers are going to win this game at home. And so I got the 49ers winning, and so does my dad. And that will be it for the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. By the way, we're ending this video at 11:42, so 18 minutes before game start. The Vikings just won. Will Lutz missed the field goal, the double doink. But, yeah. So, anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Oh, I'm insane! I'm insane! I'm literally too good. I'm actually crazy. Look at how good I am.